Panelists are Debbie Kaspar, who is a teacher's teacher. She is completely dedicated to students, but has focused her teaching in the area of history and political science at Clatsop Community College for the past 30 years. She retired over the summer, but I can't get her to go away. She continues to teach for us as a part-time teacher. She's taught history, political science, and math. A Renaissance woman, certainly. She took her degrees at the University of Idaho, both undergraduate and graduate. She personally is a student of the Lewis and Clark Trail, has led tours of most of the area in which the Lewis-Clark expedition traveled in Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. She has, for many years, 13 as I recall, volunteered at Fort Clatsop as an interpreter. And if you see her there, she will be wearing her buckskins or elkskins or whatever they are. She now works as a seasonal ranger for Fort Clatsop. I did find out, though, that in her retirement she is dreaming of sun and dry and is planning on teaching online from Arizona this winter. She enjoys her family and is proud of her one grandson. I told her she was a piker, but more will come, I'm sure. Next, I'd like to introduce Stephen Berk. You're supposed to jump on. Stephen's come to the area after retiring from a career as a teacher as well. Josh.
I'm in the right place?
You are.
Okay, good.
We've got a seat right now.
Thank you. Ran away.
Hi. Good to see you.
Hi. Steve holds bachelor's and master's degrees in history and a PhD in American intellectual and religious history. He also holds master's in marriage and family counseling. He taught for over 30 years at California State University, Long Beach. He moved here after retiring, where he became involved with the college. He served with the college's Encore program and has taught Western Civ for the college last year. He also participated in last year's event commemorating the Constitution, providing the historical context in which the Constitution was written, connecting it to the Federalist Papers, etc. Earlier this month, the Clatsop Community College Board of Directors appointed Stephen Berk to fill a vacant position, so he can't teach for us anymore. Patrick Kane has joined the faculty of Clatsop Community College this fall. And so we're pleased to have him because he's earned his PhD in philosophy, interpretation, and culture from the State University of New York at Binghamton. His master's degree is in history from Temple, and a bachelor's degree in Middle Eastern Studies from the University of Texas at Austin. While employed, he was at the University of Washington. He served as a program coordinator for the Foster School of Business. He advised students and provided support for students. He's fluent in Arabic and conversant in French and remembers a little Farsi, which is also known as Persian. It may be the language of our future. He provided and may again do so as an interpreter for students from countries where those languages are spoken. He's also worked as a paralegal at firms in Seattle and in Portland. So he has he's seen how the law, which is constrained by the Constitution, has practical application. And finally, I'd like to introduce Josh Marquis. You get up and we all cheer. Cheer.
More dot.
He's been district attorney of Clatsop County since 1994. He's a former president of the Oregon District Attorneys Association and has served on the board of directors of the National District Attorneys Association for over 10 years now.
Yes.
A graduate of the University of Oregon Honors College and the law school. He's worked as a newspaper reporter, a speechwriter to California's Attorney General, and as a criminal defense lawyer. He is a frequent guest on national radio and television programs discussing the criminal justice system, and is in great demand as a speaker on the nature of the relationship between popular culture, the media, and the law. He's been invited to speak at venues from the United States Senate, the European Parliament, to the Mexican Riviera, to Evansville, Indiana, one of the high points.
That's my wife's idea of a joke.
Many other cities. We're pleased to welcome our panelists, and I'll invite Debbie if you would begin. And while you're doing it, I will pass around copies of the Constitution. And let me give the speakers that first, in the event you want to refer.
I brought the large version.
Oh, okay. You don't want to be encumbered with a small version. But these are yours to keep.
I feel very honored to be here today, to be on this panel with these great speakers here too. And as I taught history and political science for a number of years, I kind of reflected on the fact that it is a living document. It is a document that's been around for over 200 years. And when our founding fathers put together this document, I don't know if they realized, we'd be flying around the country in jets, that we would be texting or on the internet trying to find information. So the Constitution they put together, these laws that we still use today, have been around for over 200 years. And I really value the Constitution because it is a living document. We have had the opportunity to make many changes to it over the years. And we still appreciate some of the values that it gives us today. Things like, we wouldn't even be here today if it weren't for some of the things in the Constitution, like the right to assemble. And so I value that. The value that we also have the freedom of speech, that we can disagree. We can agree to disagree on the panel, and we can agree to disagree in the press, because we have freedom of speech in the press as well, freedom of the press. We have freedom of religion. And so all of these are parts of the Constitution through the amendment process. We can make change. It is a document of change. It's a document of compromise, which I think is a very important part of our government, is to have that ability to change. We don't have to beat each other up or bloody each other up whenever we want change. We can get change peacefully in those ways. Oh yeah, we kind of bash each other once in a while around the press and whatever. But we can still make change. We can still honor some of those other ideas that our founding fathers have. I know maybe some of you guys in this room are getting ready for the rites of fall, like I know my husband and my dad are, the hunting season, okay? The right to bear arms, that's in the Constitution, the amendment of the Constitution. So all of these things are valuable to us, the freedoms that we have today, that are part of that Constitution. So, okay.
Dr. Berk.
Okay. All right. In debates, they sometimes have the affirmative, and the negative. I'm going to give you a little more critical view. Why has the Constitution been around for so long? It's actually, I think, the oldest written Constitution. The founders didn't expect it to be. Jefferson was the guy who said you really need a revolution every 20 years because you get these entrenched interests that don't want to give up power, and the power accumulates. It was based on a series of compromises representing different and often opposing interests. Big state, small state, slave, free. We still have these factions, which frequently cancel one another out. They're not exactly the same as they were then, but factions, as Madison said in Federalist 10, the Federalist Papers were the propaganda for the Constitution, the defense of the Constitution, the reasons why the Constitution would be a good idea, that Madison, Hamilton, and Jay wrote. Madison pointed out that factions would exist, though they didn't anticipate political parties, and that's a bit of a problem for us today.